Welcome to Scaling Your Healthy Food Product podcast, where we believe the process of scaling better for you product doesn't have to be lonely, hard, or complicated, but following simple steps to prepare your product to scale correctly will set you up to succeed. If that is you, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Jacinta Kimboy. Let's get started, everybody. Welcome to the podcast, everybody. This podcast episode is a special one. It's the last podcast episode for 2025, and this year when I started the recording and putting out product content for food founders, like just to help you scale as you're growing your business. One of my goals was to record 52 podcast episodes. If you've been listening to my podcast, you know this was the goal that I was working towards. And I am super excited to be recording the final one for the year. And I just wanted to reflect a little bit because this has been one of my goals. It's one of those things that you plan to do something for a really, really long time and you never do it, and you finally get to doing it, and you're like, oh, it wasn't that bad after all. Could have started like a few years down the road, but it doesn't really matter. This was the year. This is when it was supposed to happen. So I just want to say I am super proud. I feel relieved and I feel like I've achieved the goal that I've been working towards this year. And I'm very happy and I'm very excited. And the other thing too is, it's one of those things that you do something with a goal and you have an idea of what it's supposed to do and what it's supposed to become. And this podcast has just, it's grown and its own life, and it's just gone the way it was meant to be. And some of the listeners on the other end, some of you have told me how it's been helpful to you and how it's impacted your business and how you've grown towards it. And also, when I started this, it was just me recording lessons and content, and my ETS method framework, just being able to showcase what a food founder can do to prepare their product for retail. But it's one of those, like, I think I did, like, it was a tester episode just to a founder spotlight episode, and that became a hit. So now the podcast includes a founder spotlight episode where I highlight some of the founders in the Better For You category, and they come and they share their stories. And people have been very receptive, like you listeners have been very receptive to that one. Some of you found some of those podcast episodes or founder spotlight episodes very helpful as you're growing your business. So I will continue to showcase founder in the coming year in 2026. So that's not going away. But here's the thing. This was one of my goals professionally too, just being able to put out content and consistently putting out content. I've had to figure out the best way to do it. Um, some cases I'll batch them, in some cases not necessarily. So I've had to figure out like the best way to do it. And when you have a goal, you tend to find a way that would work for you. So for me, I took podcast courses in this just to be able to help me to organize my thoughts and to be able to put it in such a way that it would be more impactful to you, the food founder, on the other end. And you know what? I just want to take some time to acknowledge the food founders that are listening, and while you're juggling production, family, and full-time jobs, some of you listen on your way to work, on your way from work to home, on your way to the gym, or on your way to doing some errands. However you listen to the podcast, from me to you, I am grateful that you're on the other side. And I just want to say thank you for the support. It's been really, really fulfilling for myself. And it has opened doors in just different ways for connecting with people, connecting with accelerators and different organizations. So it has been a very good thing that I've done, and I'm proud and I'm thankful. I will not say this enough. I'm thankful for you on the other end because without the listeners, the podcast is not effective. So um, I just also want to share some of the lessons that I've learned. Like this consistency has revealed it, so it's more like a founder mindset, right? Like you do have a goal, and it's one of those, like I have always had like a time that I needed to have recorded by. So it's one of those, like when you have a founder mindset and you have a goal and you don't want to not fulfill what you um, had the goal for, or what your goal was. You don't want to not fulfill the goal that you set, and that was for me on the other side. So more like the founder mindset, because you have a goal and you want to achieve it, and you will go to all the extremes, all the lengths to be able to achieve what I set my mind to do. And also the business growth stages. And I think this podcast has showed me that, because in the beginning I was just and also finding my voice. Finding my voice, because in the beginning I was just recording. I just wanted to get it over with. So just okay, spit out all the content and get it over with. But it kind of helps me to, it has helped me to find my voice. I was listening to another podcaster too that said the same thing. When they started to record, it was more like a chore. It was more like something they had to do, because this is a goal that you set yourself to do. So you sit down somewhere, or you stand somewhere and you record it, and you're like, okay, I need to get this. You grind it and you finish. But then over time, you find your rhythm, you find your voice, and you find your ways to do it. But you know what? But they also settle. There are setbacks and there are bottlenecks too. And for me, it's like the recording time, because I have family, I have kids. I'm a mom of two boys, and I'm also working. I consult, so it's like finding the right time to do it. Because working in the food industry, sometimes things come up and you have to stop what you're doing to go attend to some of those things that come up. So for me, it's I think my challenge and the bottlenecks was when I had to travel. Like even now, as I'm recording this, I am not in my usual studio that I usually record, because I'm now traveling, visiting family. So it's like I have to find a way to record in such a way that it's still going to work, and also finding the rhythm, right? Like when you're home, I tend to have that feel like it's easier, because I do set a time and I block out that time, and my kids, my husband know, okay, don't disturb her during this time. But when you're traveling, things are different, the schedules are different. So it's one of those, like finding so those are my setbacks. Those are like my bottlenecks, finding the right time to do this. And the reason why I'm saying this too is there's also like the direct to consumer, the founders, like the food founders specifically, because you do have, and these are some of the founders that I work with too, because you have a lot of um, you maybe have like different platforms that you're using to collect your orders. I've spoken to founders. I've even just started with Instagram, getting the orders from the consumers on Instagram, and then trying to figure out a rhythm that works. So it's one of those two, and also figuring out like the logistics. How do you deliver? How do you get your product to the consumer? So there's a lot of things that you have to look at, and there's a lot of different aspects of your business that you have to look at. Even if, let's say, you do have a better for you food product, and your goal is to get it to Walmart, Sobeys, Whole Foods, whichever retail store you want to get your product into, you also have to have a strategy. And the strategy is, you have to look at how do you want to grow, and look out for an episode that will be coming in the new year, that we're talking about strategizing and how to better strategize for maximum growth. But I just wanted to bring that out, because it's one of those things. And I bring this out because I've spoken to several food founders, and everybody has their own way of running their business. So this is the same thing as me. I got to a point where I was comfortable with my podcast and just finding my voice, finding the rhythm. So it's pretty similar to, like, I'm not trying to compare apples to mangoes, but it's one of those. you have to find the right way for you to run things, because in the food space there's a lot of just different aspects. And let's just talk about like the direct on the consumer, or going into retail, or going into special stores, or where do you want to go. So it's one of those, like, I'll give you an example. There's one food founder that was telling me, and I think I brought them to the Founder Spotlight episode. Their strategy is to get into, and this is one of those things that I say you should think about and you should apply it and put it in your strategy maybe for 2026 if you haven't already. It's their goal is to get into specialty stores. There's over 6,000 specialty stores in, I think, in Canada, and in US it's double that. So their goal for 2025 and even for 2026 was to get into those specialty stores. They have worked towards that, and they've gotten to a point where they're in over 100 specialty stores. And here's a kicker, like here's the benefit of it. When it comes to being in specialty stores, you don't have a lot of those fees that you have to deal with, and you get to keep a lot of margin for yourself. So it's one of those, like, whatever you decide to focus on, do that, and your growth will happen, and you will get to the point where you want to be. And it's also repeating something. The more you repeat something, the more you get better at it, and more you also figure which what works for you. I've spoken to founders where they started to direct to consumer and they got to a point and they had to drop some of them, like not being in Farm Boy or not being in Sobeys or not being in, it didn't work for them. And even for some products, you look at the margins and you see, okay, if this is not gonna work in Sobeys, this is gonna not gonna work in Farm Boy, this is not going to work in Walmart. So you also have to look at your products, the SKUs that you have, to see which one works for you. So I will reinforce, like, growth doesn't come from everything, but from doing the right things repeatedly. And this is one thing that I've seen with the podcast. So I'm just putting it out there for you as you're also reflecting on what some of the growth that you have experienced in 2025, and as you look at the strategy, what's your strategy for 2026? Look at some of the things that have worked for you in 2025 and do those ones repeatedly so that you can maximize the growth and maximize the profit. So at this point, this is where I want to introduce. So, to celebrate me marking or achieving the 52 episodes for this year, I am doing tools. I'm giving away tools. So, this is a founder, direct to consumer founder toolkit. And in this toolkit, I'm giving it away. So it's a giveaway toolkit. And this is why founders use it. Some of the founders that are selling direct to consumer, you have to print labels to send them to your consumer. If you have products that you have to seal, you're sealing them, whether it's you have like a primary packaging, and then you have a secondary if it's a plastic in a liner inside, and then you put like a box on top, or if it's or even if it's a standard pouch, you do seal your bags. So in this giveaway, there is a thermal heat sealer. There is a thermal printer, and there's a sealer, so a heat sealer, and also there's a scale. So all this will support your growth and professionalism, especially when it comes to, like, weights are very they're very finicky, but they're also very helpful. And they are also one of those, like, you could lose money or gain money if you manage your weights properly. If your packaging says 13 grams and you don't have a right scale, that is, let's say your scale is weighing 120 grams per bag, you're losing 7 grams every every single bag. So for one bag, you may not see that as a big deal, but if you think about um, long term, those are several bags, several inventory that you're going to lose, and you any product that you give away free, you're not getting anything from that. So the three things, this will reinforce, so the fact that it's going to help you as you're growing your business. A lot of you direct to consumers, you're printing labels, you're sealing your bags, and also the other thing is like you're weighing your product. So these three items will help you as you're growing your business and it will help it. And maybe you have maybe one or two of these tools, but I wanted to give it away to food founders just so that it helps you. And it's also my way of my way of giving back. And the reason why I chose these tools was I've worked in the food industry for some time now, if you've heard me, and a lot of those things, they're very, when you're in a large scale, you tend to use a lot of those and you have like a lot. But when you're small scale, those some of those tools can you may have to look for the best ones, or you may not even know like what are some of the things that you should be looking at. Like the scale, for example, if you're not too strict on like your weight or even in terms of like calibrating your scale to make sure that the scale is still functioning properly. Maybe the scale that you're using you bought like 2 years ago and you haven't really calibrated it because like when you're in a manufacturing facility, you do have somebody that comes in every year to calibrate your weight. So this digital scale that I'm giving out is going to help you as you're looking at your weighing your products properly because this is a point where you could lose money. And the tools that I'm giving out is I'm giving out the reason why I'm giving these ones out is I want to contribute to your growth and also as a way of me giving back because you've supported me as you're listening to the podcast. But also I chose these tools because these are tools that can be you can overlook them like when it comes to um, you can overlook them and these are some of the ways that can help you to save time and money. So that's why I'm giving this away and these giveaways are for food founders that have direct to consumer um, clients. And so there's two ways to enter to participate in this giveaway. I do have two options. So the first option is you will listen to this episode, you leave a review, and then you screenshot the review and send the email that you've done the review. And then the second option is you the completing the quiz. So these are the retail readiness quiz, the scale up and retail readiness quiz. So those are two ways that you can enter to participate in the giveaway. And it's open for the next 2 weeks. So the next 2 weeks, once this episode airs, you have 2 weeks to do that. And then we'll do like a draw and choose the food founder that is going to win the tools and I will get your details and send it to you. So on the entry form, I'm going to have you like submit your name and the business name. And then like I talked about, you can screenshot your review or note that you previously provided. If you previously reviewed the episode, you can also screenshot that and then confirmation that you sell direct to consumer. And then so that's the first option. And then the second option is taking the scale of retail readiness quiz and then providing your name and business name. And then just saying which email address you use to submit the scale up and retail readiness quiz. So those are the two ways you can enter. I am super excited about this because the one winner will receive direct to consumer food founder toolkit, and this includes a label printer. So this is a thermal label printer. It will print labels fairly quickly for you, and because it's also thermal, you don't have to deal with the ink jets and you don't have to deal with the inks. And then the digital scale and a heat sealer. So there you go. It's open to Canada and US residents only. And then I will include on the show notes like when it closes, when the giveaway will be closed and the winner will be announced on the podcast. and also via email. You'll receive an email from myself, and no purchase is necessary, so don't worry about that. There's no purchase that is necessary. So it should be an easy for busy founders, and also this one is also like encouraging, encouraging for you as you're growing your food business. And I am super, super excited that I'm getting to this point that I was thinking about how do I celebrate this milestone, and the best way that was making sense, the one way that was making sense was me giving back to the food founders that I'm serving. And I just wanted to focus on the direct to consumer food founders because these are the ones that are grinding and go. Everybody is, but these are the ones that I mostly work with. So there you go. This is exciting. I'm happy that we're getting to this point, and I am super, super, super excited. So thank you for having supported me during this past year, 2025. It has been a tremendous year, and send me a note, send me an email, if there's anything that you wanted to tell me, or if there's something that you wanted to share. Like I say, it's always one of those ways. As a podcaster, the only way that I get to interact with my listeners on the other side is if you send me an email or a note. Then I know how this podcast have been impacting you. But I will close this by saying I am super proud and I'm very happy to have achieved this goal. And if you can see me right now, I'm beaming and I'm just smiling from year to year, because this has been the goal that I've been working towards the whole of 2025. And I'm super excited to be recording this today, so I can post it and you can enjoy it. And also, you can get to participate in the giveaway, as you're going to be receiving the direct consumer food factor toolkit as a giveaway. So super excited for this. And until next year, until next time, as I always say, keep subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss all the new. Go to kamaresearch.com/resources to download a resource that you'd like from questions that you need to ask a co-manufacturer. Until next week, keep scaling your food business.